Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I figured something to celebrate my return is to do a full collection update. So how this is going to go is I'm going to go through my 4K UHD Blu-rays, then my Blu-rays, and then my DVDs. And yeah, let's get right into it. So first off, we have the MCU on 4K. So I have Iron Man here. Definitely one of the better ones, I think. It's one that I grew up with. And yeah. All these I have the slipcovers for. I was lucky enough to get them all in slipcovers. So next you have the Incredible Hulk. I can't comment too much on this one, simply just because I haven't seen it in probably since when Infinity War came out was probably the last time I watched it. Iron Man 2, again, another Iron Man film. I know most people don't like this film that like the MCU, but for me, again, I grew up on the Iron Man movies when they first came out, so this one kind of is a little bit more of a nostalgic feel to it. One that I first didn't like actually when it came out was Thor, and since then it's kind of grown on me and has easily become one of my favorites of the MCU. And actually a similar situation with Thor is Captain America the First Avenger. Again, didn't like this movie when it came out, and just over the years it's actually grown on me. The first, this is the Avengers film that came out in 2012. It's actually just hit 10 years, not too long ago. This used to be my favorite movie actually, and I rewatched it a couple months ago, and I gotta say, I really don't like this movie anymore. It just feels like every other line is a joke. And you know, I'm not really into that. But still, for nostalgic reasons, you know, I'm sure I'm going to be watching this at least once a year. Next is Iron Man 3. Not as nostalgic as the first two for me, but still something that, you know, I enjoy on an occasional watch. Yes, I do have Thor the Dark World, gotta complete the whole collection. Next up, Captain America the Winter Soldier. This is probably my favorite in the MCU. Definitely something I actually just watched a couple weeks ago and still holds up pretty well. Next is Guardians of the Galaxy here on 4K. I remember when I first saw this film, I went in IMAX 3D at the Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, and that was like the coolest thing ever, because I was like 13 at the time. Avengers Age of Ultron. This one I have similar problems to the first Avengers movie, but I don't think it's as bad. Next is Ant-Man. Solid comedy, what can I say? I like Paul Rudd. He's cool as Ant-Man. Not one that I've seen in a while, but Civil War for me is probably one of my least favorites in the MCU. I know a lot of people really love this movie. For me, I've just never been able to get into it, but it's probably due for another rewatch, so, you know, who knows. Got Doctor Strange here on 4K. I also, when this movie kind of came out, didn't really like it. It wasn't until I watched it like 2 weeks ago that I actually thought this one wasn't that bad. Next up is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but another solid movie. I love the Guardians movies. I'm really excited for the third one. Next is Spider-Man Homecoming. I really love Spider-Man, so for me, I like watching Spider-Man movies. This one I haven't seen in a while. Thor Ragnarok, one of my favorites in the MCU. I'm really excited for Thor 4, so I'll be watching all the Thor movies actually here pretty soon. Black Panther, another film that I really like. Usually when I watch this film, I watch it on Disney Plus just because the audio is not great on this disc. Avengers Infinity War, my favorite Avengers film. I even have the poster on the other side of the wall there. Got Ant-Man and the Wasp with the lenticular slipcover. I don't know how limited these were. I remember when this movie came out, people were seeing slipcovers without the lenticular. I have Captain Marvel here, one that I actually really enjoy, other than was it a Flurkin? The cat, you know, with the Nick Fury's eye. That whole thing kind of got me. But other than that, I really enjoy this movie. I really like the prosthetics and the makeup that they went with the Skrulls instead of CGI. Avengers Endgame, not a movie I like really too much. Spider-Man Far From Home on 4K. You got the Boss Logic slipcover artwork. I got Black Widow here. I think the movie's okay. Shang-Chi here on 4K. Another solid movie. Eternals. We have Chloe Zhao doing this film. I really like her stuff. The writer was really good when I saw that for the first time. Nomadland, of course, won Best Picture 2 years ago. So seeing her do a Marvel film was really good. I think the best parts are when she kind of does her thing. And last for the MCU is Spider-Man No Way Home. I have the regular standard slipcover here. I know Walmart had a exclusive slipcover, but first off I have Man of Steel here on 4K. Batman vs. Superman, which I have on a different shelf with the slipless 4K Blu-rays, but I'll toss it into here. Yeah, I really like this one too, especially because it's the Ultimate Edition. This is the updated version with the IMAX ratio, which, speaking of, I have Zack Snyder's Justice League here on 4K. I really like this one as well. I really like Snyder's films for the most part. Next up, I got Aquaman here on 4K. I really love watching this disc because it uses the IMAX ratio that James Wan used for the film. So it takes up like the entirety of the screen, which looks really cool with all the underwater effects and such. I guess I kind of accidentally skipped over this one because I thought this was just Wonder Woman 1984, but I forgot it was the 2-pack here on 4K. So it's got both Wonder Woman films on 4K. The reason I have this is because I had the first Wonder Woman on Blu-ray, and so once the second one came out, I figured I would upgrade and found this, which I thought was cool because it saves space on the shelf. Next I have Shazam on 4K. One of my least favorites in the DCU. It's a good film, but really not my thing. Next is Birds of Prey. I'm gonna be honest, I really like this movie. I really love this slipcover. It's got that glittery kind of gloss to it. It looks really cool in person, and I like this movie. I really do. I'll defend this one. I know a lot of people don't like it, but this one's one of my favorites too. And last but not least, I have The Suicide Squad. The sequel / reboot to the first film, which I only have on Blu-ray. I really like this one so much more than the first one. Definitely a solid film. Next I have the X-Men 3-film collection. This is the first 3 X-Men movies that came out in the early 2000s. I just watched these recently. Like them for the most part. This was a really cool set because it, saves space, of course, just having everything in one little package. Next I have the X-Men Beginnings trilogy, which is, First Class and Days of Future Past, Apocalypse. These next couple, I don't know why I have, honestly. I watched X-Men Dark Phoenix like once, and I was like, yeah, that was fine, whatever. This one, the New Mutants, I feel like I strictly own just because it was held back for so long that it's like, this copy's mine, can't be taken away from me, because at a point there, it felt like this movie was never coming out. I mean, the trailer released 3 years before the movie came out, maybe 4. I was a sophomore in high school when this movie's trailer came out, and I was a sophomore in college when the movie actually came out. So, I have this just because, nobody can take it from me now. What I am a fan of is the Deadpool movies though, and I got these nice little 2-pack because I originally had the first one on DVD. This was before I went to 4K, so love both of these too. Next up, I got the Venom movies here on 4K. Not the biggest fan of the first one, although I do love this slipcover. The second one I like a little bit more, just because I really like Carnage. Hulk, this is the Ang Lee movie. I haven't seen this since I bought it. I think it was Black Friday or something. I can't really comment because I haven't seen it in years, so I have it though. So we got the Tim Burton Batman films. Both really solid. Actually, Batman Returns is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Then you have the Joel Schumacher Batman films here on 4K. I really enjoy Batman Forever. Not so much Batman and Robin, but both fun. nonetheless, I watched these recently as well. Then I have Blade on 4K, which I got on Black Friday here just recently. I have Beetlejuice here on 4K. Really love this film. Another Tim Burton movie, and it's just fun to watch. I have the original Saw here on 4K. Really love this slipcover. Definitely one of my favorite horror films, if not favorite films of all time. So definitely solid. And then I have Jigsaw on 4K. This was the first 4K Blu-ray I ever bought. Then last year came Spiraled from the Book of Saw. I like this film. It's an interesting slipcover. I have Toy Story here. Very solid film, really like this one. Bug's Life, haven't seen this one in a while, but I love all of Pixar's stuff, so even the ones that are just kind of meh, I still like. So Pixar's one of my favorite studios, so I like all their films, despite the flaws. So no variety much here. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because I have the same opinion on all of these. Some of them I like them more than others, but I like them all. I have them all except for Turning Red, so. Monsters, Inc., definitely one of my favorites, one that I grew up with. These next couple are some of my favorites too, like Finding Nemo, definitely another favorite. Grew up on this one. The Incredibles, probably my favorite Pixar film. Cars, I like the Cars movies. I know, a lot of people don't, but they're cool. Ratatouille here in 4K, solid picture, love it. Same thing with WALL-E, definitely one of the better ones. Up is definitely towards the bottom of my favorite Pixar films. Toy Story 3, another great picture. Cars 2 on 4K, quite the masterpiece of a film for sure. Brave, another one of my least favorites in the Pixar collection. Monsters University is one that has grown on me, probably mid-tier for me. Inside Out, definitely one of the better ones, really like this one. Got The Good Dinosaur on 4K, definitely one of the lesser ones, but animation is really pretty, so. Finding Dory, definitely more towards the bottom for me as well. Cars 3, which is better than Cars 2. I got the Best Buy sticker still there. Coco, definitely one of the better Pixar films. Definitely probably, this might be top 5 for me for sure. The Incredibles 2, it's a fun time, but nowhere near the first one. We have Toy Story 4 here on 4K. Yeah, I love all the Toy Story movies, so solid addition. I know a lot of people weren't happy that they were making a fourth one, but I think this one is worthy. Have Onward here on 4K, no slipcover, didn't come with one. This was right when the pandemic started. Soul, this one's probably more towards the bottom for me. I really like the first half of this film, but then the second half I feel like dramatically shifts a little too much for me. And then I have Luca here on 4K. Really like this one. This one's probably my favorite of the recent Pixar movies. And as far as some other animation that I have on that shelf specifically, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, solid film. Not my favorite Spider-Man movie, but pretty good. Shrek, definitely one of my favorite movies for sure. Grew up on this one. And I guess this technically counts. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, definitely a fun film. Really like this one. Next I have the Star Wars prequels. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. I think Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars film of all time. And for me, when I was a child, the prequels were pretty new, so this for me is Star Wars. Like when I think of Star Wars, I think of the prequels. Next, I have the spin-off films on 4K, Solo and Rogue One. This one comes with the same style, and then you have Solo here. Have the original Star Wars trilogy here, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and what is it? Return of the Jedi, sorry. Definitely love the first two. I really don't like Return of the Jedi that much. Just definitely, I don't like this movie at all actually. And yes, I do own the new trilogy here on 4K. Next up, I have the original Spider-Man trilogy here on 4K, the Tobey Maguire films. This is on the Digipack. So got those a few months ago. Really excited about these. And then I have the two Amazing Spider-Man films with Andrew Garfield. I really love him as Spider-Man. He's my favorite Spider-Man. Got Joker here on 4K, the Joaquin Phoenix film. Fun fact about this one, I actually made a couple friends because of this movie. Here I got the MonsterVerse films, so the 2014 Godzilla film. I really like this movie because it's it's like a monster movie. It's definitely different from some of the other ones. I know very different from the original Godzilla. And then I have Kong Skull Island, which I have with the slipless 4K movies, but I threw it in here. So this is the sequel because they meet, Kong versus Godzilla. So I have that on 4K. Apparently this slipcover is really rare, so yeah. I have King of the Monsters, which is a film that I really don't like. Have it to complete the collection, I guess. Got Godzilla vs. Kong on 4K. Got this at Black Friday recently. I think it was like $10 or something. Maybe it was 15. But yeah. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. It's okay. I think there has some pretty interesting ideas in this film. I have Wreck-It Ralph here on 4K. Really like the animation on this film. It's kind of fun. You got Gremlins. I've heard a lot of people complain about this slipcover. For me, any slipcover is better than no slipcover, I suppose. Then I have No Time to Die. This is the only Bond film I have on 4K UHD. Then I have The First Karate Kid. I don't have any of the other ones, just this one. I have Bumblebee on 4K, which I kind of forget about sometimes. I have all the other Transformers films on Steelbook, but this is the only one I have on 4K. But yeah, I have that on 4K. Monster movies are cool, I guess. So, yeah. Next I have the Dark Knight trilogy here on 4K UHD. Not my favorite of the Batman films, but solid nonetheless. And Christopher Nolan, I really like his work. So I have these. These are really nice slipcovers. As for the rest of Christopher Nolan's films, I have The Prestige here. Inception, definitely one of my favorite films from him. Definitely top 3 for me. Interstellar, same thing. Definitely top 3 for me. Dunkirk, solid picture. Definitely like this one as well. And for me, Tenet kind of rounds out that top 3 Christopher Nolan films. So next I have The Shape of Water. Won Best Picture a few years ago. Really like this film. Then I got both Hellboy movies here on 4K. Both really solid fantasies. I definitely like The Golden Army more than the first one. Speed here on 4K. Really like this film. It's really fast paced. Really cool. I just had to get it when I first saw it. I bought it like the next day. So, yeah. Argo. I think this one won Best Picture. Really like this film. This film's kind of cool. 300. Like I said, I really like Zack Snyder's films. 300 is definitely one of my favorites for sure. Total Recall. I'm a big science fiction fan. It's my favorite genre. So when I saw this was coming out, I picked it up, and because I hadn't seen it yet, so I'm glad I really liked it, because I hate doing blind buys and then not liking them. And then I have Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee movie. Heard this was coming out around the same time as Total Recall, and I also hadn't seen this one but wanted to, so I also blind buyed this one and really enjoyed it as well. Next I have Alien here on 4K. Yeah, really enjoyed the first one. I really like the slipcover too. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory here on 4K. This is kind of similar to Birds of Prey with the sparkly, the glitter on the slipcover. I have Scream here on 4K. Definitely one of my favorite horror films of all time. Whiplash, probably my favorite film of all time. I have It's a Wonderful Life here on 4K. Really into older films, and I really like James Stewart a lot. And then I also have The Green Mile, which is kind of it complements The Shawshank Redemption. Kind of two sides to the same coin for sure. Then I have both Blade Runner films. This one's, Blade Runner The Final Cut on 4K, and then Blade Runner 2049. Really like both of these films individually and together as well. And then I have The Wizard of Oz here in 4K. It's really nice seeing some of these older films make it to the format, especially because they were shot on film, so they look really good. So I have Spartacus. Definitely not one of my favorites of his, but it looks really good on the format. Full Metal Jacket, same thing, not one of my favorites, but still an enjoyable watch, and I definitely like Kubrick as a whole. So The Shining, definitely one of my favorite horror films of all time. Same with A Clockwork Orange, definitely a top 3 to 5 Kubrick film for me. And then I have this 2001 Space Odyssey kind of box thing. It's I guess it was standard when it came out, the standard edition. Definitely one of my favorite films of all time. So I have Ready Player One here on 4K. I have War of the Worlds on 4K. I really like this movie up until the ending. I have Saving Private Ryan. Then I have Schindler's List here on 4K. Very emotional, kind of a hard film to watch, so it's not one that I watch too often. Then I have this E.T. Lenticular Limited Edition on 4K, and this is actually really cool. I think this is out of print, the limited edition. And then I have Jaws on 4K. Love this film, definitely another favorite of mine. Next I have First Man on 4K. How many times can I say 4K? La La Land, made by the same guy. This one won some Oscars. I really like this one. Definitely a great film is Twilight. I have this on 4K. Something I grew up with. My mom loved the Twilight movies, so I've seen Twilight a billion times. And then I have the Jump Street movies, 21 and 22 Jump Street. Both are some of my favorite comedies of all time. I'm glad I have them on the format. Some box sets here. I have the Alfred Hitchcock Classics Collection. Has Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho, and The Birds. The only one I don't like is The Birds. Then I have Men in Black Trilogy in 4K. This nice little box thing. It's kind of cool. Then I have the Hobbit Trilogy. This is the theatrical and extended edition. And same thing with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So, of course better than the Hobbit trilogy, but I love them both. Here I have Jojo Rabbit on 4K. It's a Taika Waititi film. Really interesting and creative. So I have that in the collection. I have Jordan Peele's Us here on 4K. Not as good as Get Out, but another solid film. V for Vendetta, another great film I like, and so I had to get it on the format. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, my favorite Quentin Tarantino film. Then I have both Zombieland films on 4K, and then I have The Greatest Showman on the format. I, again, don't like musicals, but when I saw this one, I thought it was pretty good. I have A Quiet Place 1 and 2 here on the format. Both are really great films. I really like the aspect to them of, staying quiet. I have I Am Legend. I heard this was maybe getting a sequel, so we'll see about that. 1917 was up for some Oscars, won 3. I really like this film. It's a war film. It looks good on the format. I kind of like the one-shot premise. So, The Invisible Man here on the format. And this one, I think, was the last film I saw before the pandemic started, just a couple weeks beforehand. So, in that way, it's kind of a special film. I have Black Klansman here on the format, and then King Kong, the Peter Jackson film. I heard this transfer isn't the greatest, but I really enjoy the film. I have the John Wick trilogy. This one has 1 and 2, and here's the third one on 4K. Really like this film. I don't usually like action movies, but these ones I really like. Bad Times at the El Royale. Really cool. Kind of a mystery aspect to it. I have Green Book. This one won Best Picture. Really cool story about this one. I was able to go to a screening with a Q&A with the cinematographer, and I actually got to ask him a question, although I don't really remember what I was asking him. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This was produced by Guillermo del Toro, and I really like his films, so had to watch it. It's kind of fun. It's based off of those old books that you would read as a kid. The Goonies, not my favorite film, but it's enjoyable, and have that on the format, and yeah. Then I have both films of the Creed movies here on the format. I really like both of these. I saw the first Rocky, wasn't a big fan, but I'm really into these ones. Next I have Rocket Man. Definitely my favorite musical of all time. I really like how they use Elton John's music to make it a musical. And then I have The Green Knight here on the format. This was a $10 Black Friday deal. And then I have Apocalypse Now, which has all three versions of the film, the theatrical, Redux, and Final Cut. Rampage, not a big fan of this movie. This was a gift. Yesterday, thought this was kind of cool as a concept of a film. It's enjoyable. Not one I necessarily needed in 4K, but I have it. I have the original Halloween here. This is just the standard Lionsgate edition. Then I have the new versions of Halloween, the first two parts in the trilogy, Halloween and Halloween Kills. Yeah, I enjoy them for the most part. They have their flaws, but they're fun. I have Grease on 4K, which I haven't seen since it came out, so it's definitely time for a new rewatch. Space Jam, gotta have this film on the format. Have Ex Machina on the format, although I have a defective disc, so I just use it for the Blu-ray. The Gentleman here on 4K. This was a blind buy, and I actually really liked it. It's a Guy Ritchie film. Alita Battle Angel. This comes with the 4K and 3D, so I thought that was pretty cool. Bohemian Rhapsody. This film's okay. I really like Queen. Overlord. Haven't seen this one in a long time. I remember this was rumored to maybe have been a Cloverfield film, but then they changed it, or not really sure what was going on there, but I thought it was cool. The Star is Born remake, this is like the fourth one, the Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga one, have that on the format. Then I have How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version. Solid picture, nice to watch around the holidays. Then I have Super 8 here on the format, another sci-fi film, really cool. Gemini Man. This is cool because it was shot in like 60 frames per second or whatnot. So it's interesting to watch for sure. Not the greatest film, but pretty decent. District 9, I really like this film. I'm glad it made it to the format. Cabin in the Woods. This is the standard slipcover edition. One of my favorite horror films for sure. I have Waterworld here. I remember seeing this as a kid and wanted to watch it again, so I got the this disc during Black Friday. Doctor Sleep, definitely one of my favorite horror films. My slipcover has a big old tear. Yeah, really great, really good sequel to The Shining for sure. Then I have Star Trek trilogy. These are the newer ones. Then I have the Hunger Game 4-film collection here in this slipcover. It's just, you know, the 4 individuals in this slipcase. Pirates of the Caribbean here on the format. Not a great transfer, really bad disc. Definitely don't recommend. If you have not picked this up, don't. Hacksaw Ridge, this was the second film I bought on the format. I really like how this film looks. You know, it's another war film. Really good, recommend this one. The original Top Gun. I'm going to be in for a rewatch here right before Top Gun Maverick. Got this when it came out, and I really liked it. Pan's Labyrinth, another great film. I'm not big into fantasy, but really like this one. Shutter Island, Scorsese film. I know a lot of people are conflicted on this one. I think it's alright. Then one of my favorite Scorsese films, The Wolf of Wall Street, really like this one. Suspiria, which is probably the most expensive 4K Blu-ray I've bought just for a single film. Prince of Darkness is a John Carpenter film. This one's okay, kind of more of a slow burn. They Live, definitely one of my more favorites of John Carpenter's films. Then from Kino, we have Misery here in 4K. Definitely one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. Mad Max, this was a blind buy. Did not like this film really much at all, but I have it on the format. Some Like It Hot. First watched this not too terribly long ago in my comedy class when I was in college, and really ended up liking this one. Then I have The Great Escape here on 4K, really great, like this one. Then I have Uncut Gems here on 4K. This is from Criterion, and definitely one of my favorite films of all time. Then I have Citizen Kane here on the format. I still have the defective Blu-ray disc. I just haven't sent it in because I don't know, I don't want to destroy a disc, so I still have the old version. But the 4K disc works. Then from Vinegar Syndrome, I have Terminal Island. I was just kind of dipping into their catalog of films just to kind of get a sense of who they are as a company and seeing if it's if they would like to buy from them further. So one of the ones I got was Terminal Island. I thought the plot seemed interesting. It's on 4K. What I really love about Vinegar Syndrome is their slipcovers. They just feel really sturdy. A lot of care and love is into these releases, even though if I don't like them all. And then I got, it's called Sex World. That might be not safe for YouTube, but I'm currently writing a exploitation film, sexploitation, and I figured I would do some research, and who better to have Blu-rays than Vinegar Syndrome. So I have this one. This one's actually one of the better ones. Some of the other ones I didn't like really at all. So Lamb, this is from the A24 shop. This was one of my favorite films of last year, so I had to get it. I'm really excited for more exclusive A24 films on 4K. But even if I don't get any other ones, I'm glad I have this one. This was a must release. I got Mulan here. Recently got this from Disney Movie Insiders, so got this one for free. Not the biggest fan of the film, but I really love the animation. This is the first 2D animated film I have on 4K, so it was cool to kind of see what it can do on the format. Then I have Singing in the Rain, which I got recently. And then my favorite Alfred Hitchcock film, Shadow of a Doubt. I really love this one. I'm surprised it made it onto the format, but I'm glad it did. And then onto some 4K steelbooks. I have Knives Out. This is kind of cool because it looks like a book. Then I have the 20th anniversary edition of The Fast and the Furious. Really like this slipcover. I like this film. Not a big fan of any of the other ones, so I just have this one. And then I have the Ghostbusters 1 and 2 Steelbook edition, which apparently was like a really rare release, but I got this at Best Buy when it first released, so I was able to get one. Got this for $5 when Best Buy was doing like their Disney sale. Got the Jungle Book here on Steelbook. This is the remake, the Jon Favreau film. Got this for $15 at Best Buy again while they were doing that Disney sale. And then I have The Thing on Steelbook when Best Buy had that price error of like $17, which was cheaper than just the standard edition. Then I have Jurassic Park 1 through 4 on Steelbook. This came out a few years ago. So it's got the 4K Steelbook and then the Blu-ray Steelbook. The Back to the Future Steelbook collection, all three of them. These are all really great Steelbooks. I love them on the format. And then I have the Indiana Jones Steelbooks on 4K, the white ones from Best Buy that came out last year. RoboCop on 4K. This is the Arrow box set, the limited edition. Really like this film. Glad I have it. Also from Vinegar Syndrome is Flesh for Frankenstein. Thought this was an interesting release. It's got the 4K and the 3D, which my dad and I, we watched the 3D, the blue and red. It was pretty good, and it comes in this nice little box set. So here we got the 4K releases with no slipcover, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Another great film. Not a big Western fan, but really like this one. Ghost in the Shell. Not a big anime fan, but I really enjoyed this one, so I had to get that release. Mother. Really like this film. Home Alone. Great for the Christmas time for the family, for sure. Scarface. Not big on gangster films, but I really like this one. Starship Troopers, and then Last Night in Soho. Another film from last year that I really liked. Watched it again, wasn't the biggest fan of, but still worth the watch for sure. No slipcover, so I have it with the slipless But haven't seen this in a while, so no opinions, but due for a rewatch. Then I have the Harry Potter 8-film collection on 4K Blu-ray. Next I have Philadelphia, a really good film. Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington, kind of more of a legal drama for sure. Ford v Ferrari, one of 2019's best films. Hell or High Water, not a big Western fan, but really enjoyed this modern Western. Inglourious Basterds, one of my favorites of Tarantino's. Fury, another war film. Again, I like the war films and they look great on the format. So, Life of Pi, really like Ang Lee's films. So, yeah, really beautiful. The Revenant, really nice looking film, pretty decent. Haven't seen it in a while, but yeah. The Martian, one of my favorite films of all time. This is the extended edition version. Independence Day, great sci-fi film. Ad Astra, another sci-fi film. Not the biggest fan of this one, but it has its moments. Got Sicario, same guy that made Dune. Not the biggest fan of this film, but I bought it off of a recommendation, and it's in the collection now. Few Good Men. Usually I like Aaron Sorkin, but did not like this film, so I blind bought this thinking it was going to be good, because I like all his other work. Not a fan of this one. The Original Predator, really like this one, another great sci-fi film. Die Hard, again, don't like action movies, but this one I really like. The Ten Commandments, I really like these 3-4 hour epics on the format because they look really great and they're just really cool, I think. Casino on 4K, one of my favorite Scorsese films for sure. Recently got Goodfellas on the format, found this at a thrift store. The Big Lebowski, this is a funny film for sure, comedy. When I first watched it, didn't like it, gave it another try, liked it, so then I bought the 4K. Arrival, another great sci-fi film. Gattaca, another sci-fi film. Again, I really like sci-fi, so it's really nice to have this one in the 4K. I have Now You See Me 1 and 2. I used to have DVDs, and I saw this at Black Friday a couple years ago, and I figured it was like $10, so I was like, well, let me upgrade and save some shelf space. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, another Ang Lee film, pretty good in the format. Not my favorite of his, but still decent. And then I imported recently the Arrow video version of Oldboy on 4K. Oh, and today I got Reminisce on 4K. That came in today, so I still have it in the shrink wrap. I have The Mummy on 4K, one of my favorite films of all time. Just got this recently, and yeah. Same with The Matrix, one of my favorites of all time, so I made sure to pick that up on 4K. Then I have the recent Planet of the Apes trilogy on 4K with the rest that come in Blu-ray, but this has the newest 3 on 4K. And then I have the Columbia Classics Volume 1 with Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Strangelove, Gandhi, A League of Their Own, and Jerry Maguire. This is a really great box set. I really love this, and I hope they make a Volume 3. And of course, just recently, Volume 2 came out last fall with Autonomy of a Murder, Oliver, Taxi Driver, Stripes, Sense and Sensibility, and The Social Network. Again, another great piece in the collection. Well, and that wraps up the 4K UHD collection of mine. And I'm going to be doing a Blu-ray and DVD version here coming up soon. I gotta split it up. It would otherwise be too long. Make it kind of an episodic thing. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll have more videos coming soon.